Assalamu alaikum. I am Taha Ghayur. Today we will be discussing a virtue that every believer should have, and that is a topic of muhasabah or self-accountability that we should all have. My friends, brothers and sisters, today I wanted to discuss a topic that is so connected with Ramadan and is something that often gets neglected. And this is a topic called muhasabah. It's a topic of self-accountability, a topic that has to do with our own responsibility that we need to take, especially in the month of Ramadan. In fact, one of the ways of achieving taqwa, which is a trophy of Ramadan, is accountability or muhasabah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in Surah Al-Hashr, Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu attaqullah wal tanzur nafsum ma qaddamat lighad wattaqullah inna Allah khabirun bima ta'malun. This beautiful ayah is probably the only time in the Quran where Allah actually gives a command to have taqwa or God consciousness twice. And Allah says, O you who believe, have God consciousness, have taqwa, have piety. And then He says, وَلْتَنْظُرْ نَفْسٌ مَا قَدَّمَتْ لِغَدْ. And let every soul, like every one of you, look carefully, plan for, invest in, take accountability for what they're sending forth tomorrow, what they're investing in tomorrow. Everybody should know what they're doing for tomorrow, which is, of course, tomorrow in this world, but more importantly, the tomorrow that matters, which is the hereafter. So that is something for us to really think about. That is the basis of accountability in the Quran that Allah talks about, that everybody is responsible. And we see that there is a beautiful saying that you may have heard before by Umar bin al-Khattab radiyallahu ta'ala anh, in which he said, حَاسِبُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ قَبْلَ أَن تُحَاسَبُوا وَزِنُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ قَبْلَ أَن تُوزَنُوا. Beautiful, powerful saying in which he says, hold yourselves accountable in this world before you're held accountable in the hereafter. And evaluate or literally weigh your actions today before they are evaluated tomorrow. And then he says something very interesting. He says, because the reckoning or the accountability will be easier for you tomorrow if you hold yourselves accountable today. And this is common sense. Anybody who has ever done exams before, or tests before, or quiz before, they know that if you do mock tests, if you study hard and you actually practice previous tests, for instance, sample tests, for instance, your exam will be way, way easier. So why not hold yourself accountable yourself first before you are held accountable by others? Now, and similarly, Hassan al-Basri, rahimahullah, said, verily the believer is a guardian over himself or herself, and he or she holds himself accountable to Allah. And then he says something very similar, that accountability will be easier for the one who holds themselves accountable today. So when you hold yourself accountable, there's some beautiful things that come out of it. You become more self-aware of your own strengths and weaknesses. And that's the only way to know whether you're doing better or worse. That is the only way, a starting point for your reform and your own improvement as a Muslim. And you become humble before Allah, knowing that Allah is the one who knows all my weaknesses, and I need to change myself for my success in this world and especially in the akhirah. So this way you are able to kill your egos. Muhasabah or self-accountability also allows you to become free of reactions and negativity when somebody criticizes you, when somebody gives you feedback, when somebody gives you advice or nasiha, for instance. And very interestingly, when you become a person of self-accountability or muhasabah, especially in the month of Ramadan, you stop criticizing others. You stop pointing fingers at others, and you ask yourself, maybe it is me who is causing the problem. Maybe I am part of the problem. And when we engage in the muhasabah sincerely, we are constantly dismantling this false idea, this false image about ourselves that we have put out there on social media, perhaps, that everybody thinks that, we are better, we are great, we're having great time, we are, pious, we are this and we are that. It actually allows you to, challenge your own false image. And then you will know where you are going in life because of muhasabah. So I want to end by giving a very practical example of how muhasabah in action works. There was a man that Umar bin al-Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu praised in his time. And this man had this habit. Wherever he would go, he would take a bag of stones, and he would have some white stones as well as some dark colored stones. And at the end of each day, he would count the number of white stones he had in his bag as well as dark stones. So for every good action he did, he would put a white stone in the bag. And for every bad action he did, he would put one of the darker stones in bag. And at the end of the day, he would do accountability of muhasabah and ask himself, how did his day go that day? So what we learn from this beautiful practice, and Umar bin Khattab praised this man because he was doing muhasabah in action. He was a walking muhasabah literally. Today, you and I have the opportunity to do muhasabah on a daily basis. Ask yourself these very important questions on a daily basis. And that includes basically two things. It comes down to two things. Number one, keeping track of your actions. Early in the morning, maybe at night, you do a journaling exercise, you have an online document, you have you can do it by memory, but ideally something that you are writing where you're recording your actions and reflecting on it. That's number one, keeping track. And number two, doing it consistently. Do it every morning, do it every evening. This is what this man has taught us. This is muhasabah in action. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow you and I to be people of muhasabah and accountability action.